Hi everybody, this is Judy at Judy in the Kitchen. Today we're talking about apricots, and I have a list of tips and ideas for you to help you out for when you're using apricots. This list is very long and I've broken it up into 3 parts. This is part 2 and I'll have a link to the others below when they are live. When you're chopping dried apricots in a food processor, you want to add a little something to those apricots to keep them from becoming one big clump and all sticking together. You could add a little bit of flour of your choice, and that flour will help to keep them from sticking together. And if you don't want to use flour, you could even use a little bit of oats in there, and that will help to keep them from sticking together and clumping up. When you're chopping dried apricots with a knife, and you want to keep them from sticking to the blade of the knife, you can oil the knife blade with maybe some coconut oil or oil of your choice, or you could dip it into the flour of your choice just to help keep the apricot pieces from sticking to the blade. Now, if you enjoy salads, but you're trying to get away from added oil and you're struggling with what to do with a salad dressing, you could puree some canned apricots to use as an oil substitute. And ideally, you would opt for those that are packed in water or fruit juice without any sweeteners. You do need to read the labels carefully. You may or may not find them locally to you. I've looked, and the only apricots I found canned locally had added sugars to them. If that's not a problem for you, fine, go for it. If it is, you may have to shop around or maybe even look online to find some that don't have added sweeteners, but they are out there. Now, if you use canned apricots, that juice is yummy in itself, and if you don't have an immediate application for it, you can freeze that juice that you've drained off in ice cube trays, and then once they're frozen, transfer them to a freezer container and store them until you need them. You can use them as ice cubes or mixed in with ice cubes when you're making a cold beverage like iced tea. They'll add extra flavor and a little bit of sweetness to your beverage. You could even use them in a smoothie if you want. You could even make a fruit sauce from the drained juice from canned apricots. Just simply thicken it a little bit with the flour of your choice or even cornstarch, and then you can use that over ice cream, desserts, or pancakes. You could even add it into a smoothie if you want. If you're in a pinch and you can't find fresh apricots because they're not available all that often, canned apricots are a great choice to be used in baking, cobblers, and crisps. Try adding some chopped dried apricots to a cooked grain of your choice. It could be rice, quinoa, couscous, millet, wild rice. Dried apricot pieces would be delicious in those. If a recipe calls for dried apricots and you don't have enough on hand, but you do have some other dried fruits, you can substitute dried peaches, dried nectarines, or even dried apples in place of the dried apricots. Yes, the flavors may be a little bit different, but it ought to work for you. Try adding chopped dried apricots to homemade granola. Well, this concludes part 2. Stay tuned for part 3 on this list of tips and ideas for using apricots. I do hope it helps. Bye for now.